Hello. You're listening to Questboard, a podcast where we make up random party starters. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Tiffany. Just so you know, we are not professional writers in any way, shape, or form. At least we don't claim to be. We just really like tabletop RPGs, and we do this for fun.
That's right. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. I'm very excited because I got to go see the new Deadpool movie.
Yes, I saw you outside the theaters last night.
I was walking in, he was walking out. We're like, oh, hi. And that was pretty much it.
Well, I went with a couple of friends of mine, and you knew that I was going to go see it at like 6:30 or something.
I actually did not because I forgot that you even told me you were going to see it. What's funny is we were actually going to go to an earlier showing, ended up running some errands, and went to that later showing. So had we gone to the one we were going to go to, we wouldn't have seen you at all.
Or you might have been in the same theater.
No, we weren't going to go that early. We're not that crazy.
Okay.
We went to the 9:30 instead of the 9.
Oh, okay.
That's how different it was. But what's really funny is actually the best part. Neither of us could actually see you. We just heard your voice. Well, hello.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I saw you across, we were about to cross the road that's like in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I just see you guys. I'm like, well, hi.
Yeah.
I can't ignore you. We were heading straight for each other.
There was a light behind you. We couldn't see your face.
Oh, that's because I'm Jesus.
No, yeah, neither of us could see you, but we both heard you like, oh, it's a Brandon.
You know Joan of Arc? I'm like the second version of Joan of Arc, just a modern day version.
You just constantly have a light behind your head.
How annoying would that be?
So annoying.
Like, you could get rid of so many crimes. No one could see you.
Yeah.
You'll be blinded.
That's like the opposite effect that should have.
Yeah, but, I'm not saying I'm a good version of Joan of Arc.
Okay, now here's the alternate to that. Everybody would know it was you because you're the only person with that behind your head. It's like
point.
Literally a beacon. Hey, it's me. I'm doing crimes.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And you can never play hide and seek.
But then someone could also easily frame you if they just have someone else with a bright light behind them.
That they could.
And then they're like, oh, it's clearly Brandon.
And you'd be like, yes, but if I do this, this, and this, you can see it's not my light.
The waveforms are different.
Yeah. You would have to know every little detail of your light.
This is a weird conversation we're having.
I'm just saying, we couldn't see you. We just heard your voice, which honestly I hear a lot. So I'm just like, oh, I know that voice.
Well, then after we passed by each other and you guys were hanging out, I had to explain to my friends oh yeah, so that's Tiffany. She does a podcast with them and all that stuff, and that's her husband. Both of them are part of my D&D group.
Yeah.
I had to explain it to them.
I heard the start of the explanation. I'm like, oh, yeah, there goes that. At least I don't have to explain anything to my husband.
I mean, I didn't even bother trying to explain my other friends to you, but, whatever.
Yeah. I'm aware you have other friends besides me. I don't think that lowly of you.
Gee, thanks. And I stepped over that bar. But anyways, Deadpool 3 is great. I highly recommend it.
Oh, yes.
Just go into it thinking it's another goofy Deadpool movie where they make references and they make jokes. And there's a lot of violence and swearing because it's R-rated.
So much violence.
Also, someone in the movie theater I was in, they brought a little kid.
Why?
But it was I think it was less than a year old. And just the baby was making a fuss, and then the parent took him out. And then didn't hear him for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
At least
gonna fuss.
They actually took him out.
True.
When they were being fussy and all that stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
at least
okay, that's good parenting.
At least they did that.
Well, better parent.
It's lesser of two evils. I don't think you should have brought the kid in the first place.
I fully agree.
Unless it's a Disney movie. If you go to a Disney movie, you have to anticipate that.
A Disney movie.
Fair point. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
A kid's princess movie.
Yes, I understand.
If you go to one of those, which as an adult man is kind of hard, but
they're so good sometimes.
I went to Frozen 2 in theaters.
That one has some great music.
Right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just so many kids there, and it was so noisy. But I'm like, what do you expect? I'm going to see Frozen 2.
For those ones, that's when you go to the late night showings.
Yes.
No little kids. Just all adults who love Disney movies just like you.
Actually, I remember when I went to see Frozen 2, I had to take my friend and his like 6-year-old daughter.
Oh.
So that I wouldn't be called a creep going to see a kids movie. Because as a man, you're always worried about that.
That's fair. As a woman, I can just walk into a Disney movie and people know.
No one questions it.
No one questions why I'm
but
there.
But as a man, I had to invite my friend and his daughter, which is fine. But now it looked like it was a gay couple taking their like adopted daughter or something like that.
Which
I'm like,
there's nothing wrong with, but you
I
are
want
very
to see
much
Frozen
a straight
2.
man.
I don't care. I just wanted to see Frozen 2. Who cares?
That's fair. I actually with that one, I think I just waited till it came out on DVD.
It wasn't that great, but I really liked
good.
the first one.
I really liked the Show Yourself song.
Oh, Into the Unknown?
I don't know. The one that starts out with
yeah, that's Into the Unknown.
There's some notes hitting that give me chills every time.
It just was a little bit annoying. Like the first story was just wrapped up and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And then the second one's like, oh, we have to make it where she senses that she doesn't belong because we need something else and we want to milk this for more.
That's how second movies go.
Yes, that's why I don't watch Disney second movies.
Lion
Except
King...
for Deadpool, apparently.
I mean, that had a third. Lion King 2 was good.
Oh, God. They also, at the movie theater, they showed a trailer for Mufasa, which is like live action.
The prequel of
Lion
King.
action Lion King, but it's the prequel, and I'm just like, oh, they're milking some more money.
I was like, first off, I can't watch the air quotes heavy here live action.
I know.
There's nothing live action about that except the scenery. It's like all the backgrounds, cool. There's your live action. All of it's CG. That's not live action, guys.
I just want.
But I can't watch those. No. It's desecration of a corpse, essentially. Like, it's just no.
I just
at
want
that point.
People to, or like Hollywood to try to just create original things.
Or, I don't know, take one of the thousands of extremely good comic books out there and go off of those.
Okay.
I know they're doing that. Marvel's doing that. But there's so many more.
My personal opinion, I think the age of comic book movies are dying out.
Yeah.
And they need to just rear back on that. But I think the age of video game, like based off of video games, is on the rise. And they need to concentrate on that and make some really good movies based off video games.
Okay, I can get behind that.
And the ones that actually care about the video games, you know?
Yeah, only people who are allowed to make these movies are the people who care about the game.
If I would heavily support Henry Cavill to own the rights to the Witcher movie.
Heck yes.
And actually has every say in it.
Yes.
Now imagine someone who's a fan of the newer God of War making a movie.
Oh my gosh.
And that will be amazing.
I don't think I could ever stand if... Is it Kratos or Kratos? Kratos. I don't think I could ever stand if he wasn't the same voice.
The voice actor who played him, I don't think could pull off a physical version of him.
I feel like he could. They'd have to paint him heavily, but I feel like he could.
He needs to get buffer. I think he's bigger size, but not like buff. Bigger.
Oh, I've seen him buff. He was Teal'c in Stargate.
I do.
Okay. Stargate, was it SG-1, I believe? He was an alien. He had this cool thing on his forehead, but he was ripped. So, yeah. But he was Teal'c.
Okay. Quick, we have been ranting for quite a bit. Real quick, what would your ideal game to be made into a movie?
I mean, okay, I am
You're
biased.
going to say Shadow Colossus.
I am, yes. I don't think it would make a good movie, though. There's not enough there. It's very light on storyline. So...
I mean, it could be one of those indie artistic movies.
It could be.
Just like Journey would be a good indie artistic movie.
Agreed. That's my other favorite game.
I think a really good one to be made into a movie would be Plague Tale.
No, I never played it.
So it's a somewhat indie game where it represents the Black Plague, but a representation of it is actual literal swarms of rats that overtake and destroy cities.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there's a representation of the Black Death. Mm-hmm. And it was a really great game. I think that could be made really cool into a movie.
That would be interesting. You know what would make a terrible movie? Kingdom Hearts.
If they just simplified the
Can you simplify that?
Yes, I feel like you could simplify it or just do away with it and just make a more consistent storyline and then make a movie off of that, I could see that, and I could see it working.
Okay.
Especially visiting different worlds. Oh, that would make a good movie.
It's such a convoluted storyline. I feel like trying to make that into a movie would break some people.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the hardcore fanboys would be disappointed if they ever make a movie. Because
I feel like a lot of people would hate it.
They'll be like, oh, you left this out. You left that out.
How much they'd have to cut out.
Yeah, so I could see it not doing well.
I could see it being a CG movie instead of a live action movie.
Possibly.
I feel like, because you can't really live action Donald and Goofy.
Yeah, that's true. Or it'll be that hybrid thing that's kind of weird. Anyway,
like the first iteration of Sonic.
Yeah, that.
That scares me still.
Enough of talk about movies.
Okay, sorry. I opened up a can of worms there.
This is it's been going on for 10 minutes now.
Welcome to our new podcast. We talk about whatever we feel like.
I mean, we could start something like that if we want to.
We don't need to.
Let's make a quest that's a start of a campaign.
Yeah, party starters.
We're doing party starters. So, do you have dice?
Oh, right. I should probably grab. I've got them. 54.
Yeah, haven't done much on this list, so.
Yay!
There's so many open spots.
Ooh. Sorry, I started reading it.
Metal men have come out from an old ruined castle and have begun chopping down the forest. They carry the lumber back to the castle, but no one has gotten close enough to see what it's being used for. So it's a inquiry or mystery that pulls the party together,
I guess. So my brain instantly went to the scene from Fantasia when Mickey Mouse automates the brooms cleaning.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's kind of how the metal men are. Like, they're just fixated on this task, and they are gathering wood.
Well, I was also thinking of Lord of the Rings, the second movie, where, God, I keep mixing up the name. Saruman, the evil wizard?
That feels right.
It's Saruman or Saruman.
I think it's Saruman.
In this city, they chop down a bunch of trees just to get ready for war and all that stuff to fuel their furnaces and all that. And that's when Merry Pippin convinces the old Treebeard to actually head south and then see the huge clearing and all this and that.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking along the lines of getting ready for war or this or that.
It's a possibility, yeah. Or they could be building something. We don't know. We'll figure that out.
So, okay. I think this quest is the party is hired or they are curious about this phenomenon.
Yeah, or maybe even you can spin it that one of them is a druid who is living in the forest. One of them is from this town over here nearby. Another one's from this town over here nearby.
Everyone has their own reason.
Yeah, the DM has to play with the characters' backstories to really draw them into this one. It's not you've all been kidnapped. Yay!
Yeah. Or talking to the players and it's like, you guys you hear about this weird thing that's going on. Tie your backstories of why your character and make your characters want to investigate this or have a reason to be curious or want, sometimes you have to set up that beginning thing so that everyone has a reason to actually converge together.
Sometimes it is fun to give your players hey, here's this really important story point for
just
my entire
the very
campaign.
First story point.
Build this into your character.
Yes.
That gives them a good jumping off point.
So I don't think we have to come up with anything about that because that's players making their characters to involve themselves.
Right.
So I think this entire thing is going to be, we're going to figure out what is going on with the castle, why they're doing this, and then if we need to make something based off of that, continue it, but whatever we decide.
Yeah.
We're going to focus mostly on just the castle and what's going on.
Right. So here's my first question. Are these warforged or automatons?
I think it depends on the system you're playing.
Yeah, good point. But are these possibly my brain is trying to say sapient, but I don't feel like that's the right word.
Sentient?
Sentient. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Possibly sentient beings who could be swayed to join you, or are they just robots doing a job? So we can go with that.
Okay, this might be a little too cliched. But it says from an old ruined castle.
Okay.
So what happens if there's a cluster of metal men, war forges or whatever,
Okay.
made for war. That was like stuck in an old basement or something like that, and their use in a ancient civilization was to defend this castle.
Okay.
And it just so happened that recently, during this time, they somehow got reactivated and they're just doing their programming.
Maybe some lightning struck the castle.
That or a surge of magical if it's Warforged or anything like that.
True.
If
Surge
this
of
is
magic could do
fantasy.
it.
But it's just them going through their programming. But that doesn't really add that much.
Right. So they're defending the castle. So if anyone goes up there to see what's wrong, they're going to defend that castle. No one gets in.
It says they carry the lumber back to the castle because it's chopping down trees.
Right.
But no one's gotten close enough to see what it's being used for, either through fear or it's being attacked. It could be where they're just too afraid. Cause
I would say it's fear at that
if
point.
they phrase it as metal men, I also feel like if it was Warforged, they would call it Warforged and it's like a known thing.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's a new concept. Like there's nothing like this before. So they
Right.
might be too scared to actually get close. They could be harmless.
They could be.
And this could be used to just like as a stepping stone into a bigger, larger campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys basically will give it to the party, but we need to decide that.
Yeah.
Do we want a hostile or non-hostile? I think we need to just break this down to like forks in the road and decide from there. Because this is kind of difficult start for us.
People have gotten close enough to see the metal men.
Yes.
Chopping down the forest.
But
and
not
carrying
close
it back
enough to
towards
see what they're used for.
Yeah, they've just been too afraid to follow them. So people being afraid of them tells me they might be a little hostile. They might be defensive.
I mean, to be fair, if you see a metallic man, like, not to go back to comic book movies, but like Ultron, and it's just like just walking through a forest, chopping down, and then dragging a tree back that's big enough to actually drag a full tree, are you willing to go up to it? Even if it says nothing and just act like nothing, you've never seen this thing before in your life.
My curious brain wants to. My self-preservation...
This is how you die.
I know. My self-preservation says, hey, stay away from this thing that can carry a tree like it's a stick.
You're going to be that, like, horror movie person that's like, oh, I heard a creepy noise over there. I'm going to go investigate by myself.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
That's how they die.
I know. There's been multiple times where it was like, oh, hey, I heard a weird noise downstairs last night and went to investigate it. And my husband's like, why didn't you wake me up? What if there had been someone downstairs? What were you going to do? I'm just like, I don't know, punch him? We have a sword.
Funny enough, because I live alone, I have to check it. Well, I have to check my noises. Every time I do. Yes, but I'm not a fighter. If you actually see me in real life, I'm not a fighter.
I can vouch for that. I'm sorry.
I'm not physically fit. I'm a nerd.
You're more physically fit than some nerds.
But still, I'm going to die. So every time I check, I bought a pocket knife for this very reason.
Smart.
In which I have it like I'm holding like my knife out when I do my rounds if I hear something, which usually turns out just to be a neighbor or something like that.
Yeah.
But even like as a man, I'm going out thinking that if there's something bad, I have at least a knife on me. I don't blindly go out and do things.
You see, I have since installed a camera downstairs. So I don't need to go downstairs. I have a camera. I can look at it on my phone. It doesn't record anything when people walk into the room. It only works if I'm looking through it. Yeah.
Anyways, this is a stupid tangent.
I know, sorry.
So we need to decide.
Yes, so...
Hostile, not hostile.
It'd be fun if they weren't hostile, but it would also be way too easy if they weren't hostile. I'd say they're not hostile.
We could come up with a deeper lore if it's not hostile.
I'd say they're not hostile until a certain trigger is met.
Okay, so if they're not hostile and they're just programmed... Oh, also, are they sentient or not sentient?
I was thinking not sentient.
Okay. So they're not sentient, not hostile until a certain thing triggers it. So that means that the party could go up to them. If they go up to one of the workers, like chopping down wood, they're not going to be responsive because it's just...
No words.
It's part of their programming. They're not going to... Is it going to be if they attack it, will they respawn, or would they even like do nothing and it'll be kind of more eerie?
I feel like that would be really nice and eerie.
If they don't
if
even
they
respond.
don't even respond, they just do like what that one robotics company's robot does. Like they haul back and kick it, and it just keeps doing its programming.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The
I
robot
can't.
dog.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
Oh man,
Boston Dynamics. That's
yes. You guys rock, by the way.
God, they're expensive. I saw the Micro Reeves video about it.
Oh, but they're cool, and they're making really cool like leaps and bounds in robotics.
Mm-hmm. But okay, if they don't move or anything like that, they just continue with their programming, don't respawn, all that stuff, and then they slowly drag trees back. Now, at the gates of the ruined castle, quote unquote gates, because it's a ruined castle, you could just go through the hole in the wall.
The robots are using the trees to rebuild the gate? Maybe they're trying to repair the castle?
Okay, if we do that, is it part of a program? Is there like some sentient being in the castle that wants it repaired? Like, what is causing the reason for the repair if we do repair? I mean, I feel like if to develop this further, if we need someone that is actual sentient in this, if it was just like the basement thing, like I suggested, they'll find that it's like, oh, it's in the program. They'll just get rebuild the thing, and then nothing will happen.
Well, there could be
then they have nothing to go off of after that.
It could be like an ancient AI situation.
Oh God, the iRobot.
Kind of, sort of.
We already made that reference in iWarforge.
I know.
Whatever episode number that is.
Or maybe someone came across the castle, woke up the robots, and it's like, hey, fix up this castle. It's mine now. Like someone just found the castle and claimed it as their own. Or maybe
it's like the artificers made the first warforges in this world.
Yeah.
In which, I don't know if you want to... Okay, we could set up a big baddie for this entire campaign.
You could.
Because if we do the thing of, these are like early warforges, so then they're actually somewhat easier.
Okay.
Because level 1 party.
Right.
Because this is the start of a campaign.
Yes.
What happens if...
Unless you start them higher.
These Iron Men are very shabbily made, like a poor blacksmith's creation armor kind of like.
And maybe they have like spindly little arms and legs and things. Like if it's just like one bar, it's not like an actual shaped and armored. It's just one bar, and that's their shin.
Oh yeah, that I could see that with like just loose, poorly made plates that sit over it that makes somewhat, but then you could see in between the cracks and you just see a single bar in it being the quote unquote bone.
Like I'm thinking
poorly made
old anime, like 90s anime robots here.
I never watched any of those, so
I watched Cyborg 009. There's lots of robots in that.
But what happens if this is like the artificer's first prototypes of these things?
Yeah.
Made a bunch of them and thought, okay, world domination. That kind of level, or just like
total world domination.
Or just succeeding in making your own nation, making your own kingdom. You have to start somewhere. There's a ruined old castle. No one's occupying it, so might as well make it mine. And then base of operation from there.
Okay.
So what happens if, yes, they are repairing it for the artificer, and that's when the party finds out, anything like that. And it could be, we want to go down this route, I don't know how are you feeling on this route?
I mean, I'm liking it so far.
Okay, I'm afraid to call for names if this isn't a route that we're gonna go down.
I keep thinking mechanist in my head, but the
artificer, machinist.
Machinist
is the non D&D version.
The Mr. Eggman here.
Mr. Eggman.
Or Dr. Eggman, I guess. He's doctor. So you want a name?
Yeah, just any name. Could be either gender. Doesn't matter.
Well, there's one that jumped out on my list, and it's Olly Mooney.
Olly Mooney.
Mm-hmm. Okay. OLLYMOONEY. Olly Mooney.
So Olly makes the first versions and wants to secede their own kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the party goes in, I can imagine like, oh yes, you have entered the kingdom of whatever kingdom name that they want to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And act like they're actually haughty and king and all that stuff, right?
I feel like he built himself a robot queen.
A little creepy.
I'm thinking he's slightly insane.
And if the party's like, once I have my defenses done and I have my society built, then, going to expand and like monologue,
Oh, yes.
because I have a undieable army and all that stuff, have all these things, and the party's going to stop them, right?
Of course.
That's when the Warforges will be hostile, but they're shabby and like kind of crappy, so level 1 could handle it, and he's going to get away.
Yes.
Obviously.
Always.
And as the campaign continues, either a campaign or just a string of quests, but it'll be slowly the Warforges will get better as the party levels up.
Yes.
And so it shows progression for the players and progression of the artificer's skill as trying to make a base or trying to just take over something with the newfound Warforges and all that stuff.
I feel like he would call them something like Olly bots or something like that. Naming them after himself, of course.
You know what? That is actually fair.
Because what good creator doesn't name their creations somehow after themselves?
Someone who's not full of themselves.
Good point. What full of themselves creator wouldn't do that? Also, Olly bot's fun to say.
Now I'm just thinking of Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
Who named several cities after himself and probably made that confusing back in the day.
Yeah.
God, he was so full of himself.
He was.
Now imagine if he ever took over a town. It's like, this is now Olly Town.
Well, that's what I was actually...
Olly Town 3.
I don't think you heard me earlier. I said under my breath that he would name it Olly Town.
No, I didn't hear that.
Or Ollyburg. Or, I can't remember what I said exactly.
Ollyville.
Ollyville.
All skateboards will only do an Ollie.
Only Ollies.
Okay.
Where all the men are named Ollie and all the women are named Holly.
No, Holly is the wife robot.
Okay.
This is so stupid. So is there anything else to actually add? Because it's very straightforward.
It's really straightforward. Now, this is more of a introduction to presumably the BBEG.
If they want to do that. If they just want to make this person a small time thing.
Yeah, or it could just be a side.
Or it could be just the beginning arc
Mm-hmm.
that just gets the players up to level like 3 or 4 when the big stuff actually happens.
Right.
Because I could also see that for longer form campaigns.
But honestly, you can always start your campaign at a higher level if you don't want to trudge through the first few levels.
I know, but we always say for party starters,
True.
We're going to assume level 1.
Well, that's the joy of such a free form platform of like tabletop RPGs is that you can scale things however you want.
In my personal opinion, I think campaigns should always start at level 3 because that at least gives everyone their archetype or subclass dislike because everyone has that kind of backstory. But the backstory doesn't really fit until you hit level 3 once you finally get your archetype.
That's when it really kicks off. And a lot of times I will write a backstory for a character. I'm like, how is this a level 1 character? Like,
there's also that.
I'm literally playing a soldier in one of my campaigns. Mm-hmm. How is she level 1?
That's one of the things that I don't like.
Army.
I mean, for that, yeah, that's kind of weird. Or they just like took a break for a while and then all that stuff. Everyone likes to do mercenaries that done mercenary.
Right. Well, even mercenaries. How are you level 1?
But what I'm talking about is like, oh yeah, I'm a Oath of Vengeance paladin, but I haven't got my oath yet.
Right.
But the vengeance part is a part of my backstory. It's like that's kind of stupid.
No, I can go with that. So
it doesn't make sense.
Honestly, you can start your campaign whenever you want, whatever level you want. Yeah, you just don't have to trudge through all those first levels unless you want to, because sometimes it is fun.
D&D hot take: all archetypes should be chosen at level 1 of all classes.
Yeah, you just have everything locked in.
Also, like wizards, it's like level 2 or level 3. Then you could choose your school of magic.
Right.
That should be like first one.
Mm-hmm.
Just like warlocks.
I think it'd be fun to start a campaign where no one really knows what they're going to be. Maybe it's like a bunch of kids at adventure school. And yeah, sure, maybe I'll try out this class. I'll try this out. And as you level up, then you get to gain your stuff. Like that is what leveling up feels like. They don't really have much of a backstory. I'm just building this character as I go.
I think we're doing too many tangents.
Yeah, I think we're doing too many tangents.
Okay, so I'm going to say this in chronological order, and then if we come up with something in between.
You said chronological again.
I'm trying to make it a real word. I don't know.
Now I'm thinking it.
I'm going to say the entire quest in order.
Okay. Recap time.
Yeah, recap. Okay. So the party will hear rumors about these metal men.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says metal men. Going around leaving a abandoned ruined castle to chop down wood and bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows what's going on, so the party is curious. Whatever reasons the party has to investigate or join as a group. They're going to see that the metal men are pulling trees, not really reacting, not acting hostile whatsoever, but it's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, I was saying how they're weak because it needs to be for a level 1. That means multiple of them are dragging trees.
Yeah,
we can't have only one. That'll be ridiculous. So clarification on that. They're gonna go up to the castle. It's going to be like the castle gate's not even like built in yet.
Okay.
Or the like giant wooden doors.
Yeah.
In which then they will be possibly welcomed by Olly, Mooney, or Mooney.
Yeah, whatever you feel like calling him.
Mooney sounds kind of cool.
Sounds like Monet. Isn't that a painter?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
No, I think that's a painter. Famous painter that I am apparently not remembering correctly right now. I'm sorry, whoever you are.
But they greet them, talk about like, oh yes, I'm a new kingdom that's starting up. These are basically my soldiers, my footmen, my creation, and all that. And you must pay your taxes or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like just to fund the future of the kingdom in which we are going to expand and like talk about is like, we will declare war on this and that. And that will encourage the party is like, hey, we need to stop this. They fight. These things are going to be easy, but Ollie's going to be able to make it, like run away successfully. And then it'll be a reoccurring villain that will have better and better Warforged metal men as they are getting better at creating themselves.
Kind of feels like a Saturday morning cartoons kind of villain.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, not as Saturday morning cartoon villain as do you remember Mold Displacement episode?
Yeah.
We came up with just a corny, I think it was like a infernal based villain or something like that.
Yeah, no, he was just a wizard or a summoner who was summoning things from the plane of fire.
Yeah, that's right. And we just made him super corny.
Oh, he was so corny.
I think that's more of a Saturday cartoon.
They both are. They both definitely are.
Okay. Guess that's pretty much it.
I'm happy over here.
If you start your campaign with that, you could let us know what happens or some interesting details about things that are going on. If that's your entire campaign or if it's just a small part of it. We'd love to hear any updates about it. You can either put that in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube, or you could tweet us at QuestboardPod. I think with that, I wish you all a good night.
Happy questing.